Hi, and welcome back to Toadstool Tarot. For a while now, since I've been collecting and my real estate has been dwindling, I've been putting decks aside in a box that I don't use very often or don't relate to. I don't know. You probably have this happen too, where decks sort of lose their infatuation over time. Or maybe they're just fantastic decks, but somehow they just don't resonate with you and you don't use them often enough. And why shouldn't somebody else make use of them? So I put them aside in a box and leave them there for a while, and if they do speak to me later, I pull them out of the box. But otherwise, if they stay in the box, they need to be rehomed. And I haven't given a name to it, but Nancy Texas Rose calls this her Purgatory box. So this is sort of a VR to Nancy Texas Rose's Purgatory box. I'm going to show you the decks I have that I will probably rehome. First is the Mystic Mondays. I think this is still cheap and readily available on Amazon. I don't know why it's so cheap. It's got a really bizarre and unusual box, sort of holographic with a little peephole in it, strange, and holographic edging on the cards. It's got a pretty thick little black book. The cards are glossy. The colors are pretty bright, minimalistic, very modern. I like some of the images, but there are also in here some sort of tropical themed cards that I don't really relate to. And I just don't find that I use this deck very much. Cardstock is pretty thick, but, you know, highly laminated. You can see the color palette. It's a pretty thick deck. That's the Mystic Mondays Tarot. I think I'm going to sneeze in a minute. I went out for a bit today to meet a friend for breakfast, brunch, and it's beautiful out, but I think there might be a little bit of pollen in the air. I don't really have hay fever that I know of or allergies, but something's bothered me. This next deck is the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations, which comes in a very sturdy two-part box. I got this in a lull between decks when I was just kind of bored and looking for something new. It's a little lift-out ribbon in the box. It does have a thick little book. It's an oracle, as I said. I'm not sure how many cards there are. You can research all these online. I also have walkthroughs of each and every one I'm showing you. These are also glossy cards, and I didn't find, the images fascinated me, but also kind of freaked me out. There's sort of alien and creepy about them that I just kind of couldn't get on with. They don't strike me as angels. They're sort of otherworldly or interplanetary and alien looking and dark and foreboding and creepy to me. I don't know. Beautifully done. Beautiful artwork. It's just on the dark side for me, and it's just, I don't know. They kind of give me the creeps and have ever since the first time I laid eyes on it. I don't quite know what made me buy it. But anyway, some of you may be really into this. I think there's a second volume, different name. This one's the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations. Next we have the Influence of the Angels Tarot. This also is in a nice heavy box and has a nice thick book with it. Actually, I have to remember if I let this one go, it came with 2 cheat sheet cards in it that I pulled out to assist me in my Marseille deck reading. Anyway, this is a pretty hefty book. Oh no, it looks like I put the cards back in here, the cheat cards. Yep. Number meanings, suit meanings. Again, nice cardstock, very glossy. Here's those little helper cards. Beautiful backs, beautiful blue pattern. Gilt edge for people that are into that sort of thing. It's collaged, I believe, from classical artworks. And it's not strictly speaking an angel deck, but there are angels depicted in every card. So when you say influence of the angels, it's the influence of the angels, not the Angels Tarot. It's kind of like Cat Black's Golden Tarot a little bit, but I think I prefer that to this. I think I had some issues with the court cards. I think they're sort of famous people depicted that I wasn't familiar with, and they have their own sort of historical context. They are very nice cards if you like sort of classic historic artwork. That's the Influence of the Angels. Let's see, what else have we got here? Oh, for H.P. Lovecraft fans, we have the Azathoth Tarot. And these are very, very detailed black and yellow cards. Black cards with yellow print. This is number 889 of 1,000, and it's the 6th edition. I think they've had a number of editions. These are the backs. Again, sort of, well, these are semi-glossy, not completely glossy. Substantial cards, a little wider than the usual tarot cards. They have very detailed artwork with sort of creepy Lovecraftian depictions from characters from his stories. Some are quite detailed. I think they're a little too detailed and a little thematic for me to work with. I also don't think I like to spend that much time sitting and staring at a card, and there's so much detail in these images that kudos to the designer, but I just don't feel like I want to invest the time looking at these cards, particularly for a reading. As an art deck, it's fascinating. Here we have the Enchanted Spell Oracle. This is in another heavy two-part box, real thick, sturdy two-part box, great box, and a really nice thick book. The cards are beautiful. They have a kind of a burnt edge look to them. They're sort of glossy. Those are the backs. The fronts are very colorful. I find a lot of repetition in images like this, certain goddesses, that they didn't change very much in the artwork, but some cards I really like, some not so much. I really like the look of the artwork. There just doesn't seem to be enough variety in it for me. Also, I don't use oracle decks much anymore. And I think these do have spells on them and names of trees and dates and various correspondences. Very female-centric, witchy sort of a deck. Again, I have walkthroughs of these, so if you need to see all of them, then you can look through my channel. Oh, this is a problem, child. I don't know that anybody's going to want this. This is the Tarot Mucha, or Tarot Mucha. It's got a hard box and a hard lid. Nice. It wasn't quite what I expected because it seems like artwork that's redrawn in the style of Mucha as opposed to actual reproductions of his work. They seem manipulated in a way. The colors don't seem quite the same. It's got a thick book. No illustration. Oh, there are a couple illustrations in the book, but not corresponding to each card. These are the back design. I think it's Lo Scarabeo. Regular cardstock, regular size, glossy cards. Now the problem with this deck, besides my feeling about the imagery in it, is that there was a flaw in the copy that I got. And, oh, here you can see. if you were to trim these, it wouldn't be an issue for people who like to trim their cards. You can see the back, the borders could be trimmed. You can see on the edge of this card here, there's a little chip out of it. And that was in there when I opened the deck, but I wasn't enthralled enough with the deck to actually make an issue of it and return it to the shop. Then I think about a year later, I wrote to Lo Scarabeo to see if they would send me a replacement card. And they did. But the new card isn't... Look at the corners on this one. It's not cut right. See the top corners don't match. One's a little sharper and one's a bigger corner. And to top that off, I think they're different print runs because... I don't know if you can see, this one's darker than the other one. So even the replacement card they sent me doesn't really fit in the deck. So this deck probably would only be good for somebody who can deal with that, or, you know, doesn't mind it, or will trim the edges off of their deck. Don't know if I'm going to find a home for that. Let's see, what else we got here? Okay, here are some sought-after decks that people might really like. This is the 4th edition of Robert M. Place's Alchemical Tarot, renewed. And if you know Robert M. Place's decks, the illustrations are beautiful. They just sort of happen to be cards that, as pretty as they are, I don't use them. Glossy. Here's the X-rated version of the Lovers, the more toned down version. Yeah, I don't know. I was taken with the artwork, but this deck just doesn't do it for me. The next one, this goes right along with it. Actually, you had a little glance at my crocheted bags. Those I'm not selling or trading off or rehoming. This is the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery from Robert M. Place. In many ways, I find this a prettier deck, but I still don't use it. Again, nice card stock, glossy cards, beautiful colors and imagery, kind of modeled after Edward Burne-Jones style artwork from the late 1800s. And that's the style. It's Robert M. Place's artwork, but Comes with a little white book. Not much in it. Not sure. I think you might be able to get a thicker book that goes with this. And I don't know if this version's still in print. Not sure if it says if there's an edition on it. No, it doesn't say. Oh, maybe on the little white book. No. Next we have the Carnival at the End of the World. These cards are a little bit oversized. Comes in a tuck box. Cards have a sort of a linen feel to them. Decent flexibility. The images look sort of antiqued. I don't know if these are, they almost look like they're colored pencil drawings, and they're characters on their own little islands or in their own little separate spaces. It's a curious and bizarre deck. It's just something I didn't find myself using. I don't readily read these intuitively, and yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people like this deck, but I don't think it's an easy deck. I suppose if you know your system and you just go by the numbers or the suits, you might be able to read that way. There's no booklet with it. Let's see, what else do we have here? The Dreams of Gaia Tarot. This is the pocket edition, which is small but not mini. I mean, it's a decent size. You can see here by the regular tarot card. A little wider and a little bit considerably shorter. It's in a nice sturdy two-part box. The edges are a little dented, and the back has a couple little scratches on it. If it bothers you, I don't know. It comes in a substantial little book. These are matte cards, and I don't find that they glide particularly well. They're sort of a slick matte, but still somehow I find that they kind of cling. The images are pretty. I find them almost too pretty, if that's a thing. I just never got on with them. So that is the Dreams of Gaia Tarot Pocket Edition. Next is the Russian Tarot of St. Petersburg. I bought these around the holiday because I thought, oh, they're really festive. They're like little Christmas tree ornaments. It does come with a little white book. They're very, very ornamented, glossy, okay cardstock. But they're kind of small because of all the border detail. The images are a little small. The colors are nice and vivid. Here we have the Visconti Tarot. This is the mini edition. I don't really get on with mini decks so much. I mean, I like the pocket size ones. I don't like the minis. It's just too small for me. And I'm really not that fond of this, I guess this is the Visconti Sforza. Comes with a little white book. I like the card shape being narrower and small. These actually are not a bad size. Pretty flexible. But, yeah, I'm just not fond of the art in this deck. And these do have the multiple languages down one side that Lo Scarabeo was doing for a while. I just don't care much for that. And when you get something like that, you can't really trim it because the backs are symmetrical and don't line up. So some people actually prefer the titles on the side to those on the top and the bottom. I'm at the point where I don't like either anymore. And I think a lot of Lo Scarabeo decks these days, they picked up on it and they're just using symbols and numbers at the top of the bottom, if they're using anything at all, which is a far better system for multiple languages, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I just not taken with this deck so much. Let's look at some of the pips. This has gold on the cards, but it's not metallic gold. It's just kind of a tannish gold color that looks kind of like tarnished brass. Then I have this book, the Krampus Playing Cards. But I think this is still available cheap online. I'll probably save this to gift to somebody around the holidays, or maybe I'll use it as a giveaway or something. The last deck I have is the Pam's Tarot Original Art Only Crackback Design Limited Edition, restored by Reall, 2019. It's in a sort of a linen-y kind of tuck box. This was printed at Game Crafter. The cardstock has a look, but not entirely feel, of linen. It's got a couple extra bonus cards, art cards in it from Pixie. It's got a symmetrical crackleback design. And no titles on the cards, just the art, which is really nice. The colors are pretty intense. I have so many RWS decks that I just don't find the quality of this one up to what I have in other versions. I really do like them, just art with no labels. That's a great thing. But the colors are a little garish. The cardstock is not my favorite. And it's probably unfair to say, I think when I reviewed this, I said that it sort of looks like cereal box type printing or something, that kind of coloring from the 60s. There's nothing subtle here about it. I don't know. I want to love it, but I don't. But it might be just what you're looking for. In the meantime, I'll keep you in suspense. So this is my Purgatory box. I'm going to make these available to anybody interested in the United States, unfortunately. Sorry, folks. I don't want to be filling out those pesky custom forms. And so what I'm going to do, actually, I had a friend, and I also have quite a trek to get to my post office. Had a friend get me some of these priority mailboxes, which are, you know, it's a flat rate priority in the States. I don't know if this works outside of the States too or not, but anyway. So yeah, I'm only going to sell these to people in the States, or I might work a trade. If you are outside the country and are interested in these, and you have a friend in the States that's willing to be your go-between, you can do something there, you know, but all my dealings will be with the other person and your dealings will be with them. So sorry foreigners. Yeah, that's kind of the way I'm going to handle this. So those are the decks from my Purgatory box at the moment. And I'm sure there will be more to come in the future as I start weeding out my shelves to make more space for new decks. Again, if you're interested in seeing full walkthroughs of any of these to inspect them further and my initial insights on them, check out my channel. I have walkthroughs on every single one of them. Till next time, thanks for stopping by.